This video is one in a series of videos that cover database topics in 3 themes. We look at Oracle APEX, Application Express for web applications, relational database concepts for designing and building databases, and SQL, the programming language for working with a relational database. If you want to work with the video series, you can go to this URL to get the scripts and handouts. In this video, we're going to work with one of the reference tables that we use when we're entering data about an animal in the animal shelter. This is the dominant breed reference table that we created in an earlier video by using the Object Browser Create Lookup option in APEX. We're going to change the width of the descriptive column for the dominant breed. By default, a varchar character 2 column has a default width of 4,000 characters, and we certainly don't need that length. We're going to add a column to this table, and this will allow us to associate a category, such as canine or feline, with a dominant breed. We'll then use that in the form to create what we call a cascading LOV. Once you select a category, that's going to limit the list of options for the dominant breed. So I'll get a different list from this dominant breed table based on whether I've selected or identified that animal as a canine or a feline. We'll add a uniqueness constraint for 2 columns together, not just on a single column. We'll create a form with report for the reference table, and we'll consider whether we need to enforce case consistency, either uppercase or lowercase. So I'm logged into APEX as one of the developers. Before I go to APEX, I thought I would look at the data dictionary, the data model, and I've left in the lookup tables. In previous imports of the data dictionary, I've removed the lookups so that it wouldn't be as cluttered. But I want you to understand what we're going to do in this video, which is work with the dominant breed by adding a column that we can associate with the category of animal. So we'll add a column here, and it'll be feline or canine for each breed record. So I'm in APEX as one of the developers, and I will open up the development application. If we go into shared components and look at the list of values, notice in the data model we have a category lookup table, but it is associated with an activity such as doing some medical procedure or some grooming procedure. The animal category, if I click on this list of values, we see that it is actually hard-coded in. It is static. So we have canine, canine, feline, feline. We see this in the display, and that same word is stored in the field in the animal record. So now we know how category is used related to animals. So if I come back here to Object Browser and I go to the dominant breed, I want to make some modifications to this. 1, adding a column, and 2, reducing the size of the actual dominant breed. If we look at the data here, we're seeing American Blue Heeler, Australian Shepherd. Right now, our dominant breeds are only listed for canines. If I go to the table and I want to modify a column and I select the dominant breed, the length is 4,000. I would say we don't need more than 60. And this is just to make you aware of the fact that by default you get this really wide column maximum length when you use something like the create lookup table with a variable character data type for that column. Now I want to add a column, and I'm going to add animal category, and that will be variable character. That's that's outside the screen, and the length on that will be, I'll put 20. And I'll click Next and Finish. So now we have this column. The last thing I want to do here is do a constraint. I want to make sure that we do not add canine and collie, for example, more than once in the dominant breed lookup table. So I'm going to do a constraint. I want to create one. I'm calling it DOM breed category unique, and I'll make that a uniqueness constraint. And notice you have the option of putting the uniqueness constraint across more than a single column. It will be for dominant breed and for animal category. So if, for example, there was such a thing as a feline collie, we could go ahead and type in collie more than once. It's the combination of the breed with the category that we want to be unique. So we'll click Next and Finish. And here we see the new uniqueness constraint for 2 fields at once. So when we look at the data, we see that we need to add animal category. And we know right now that we have only breeds for canines. So I can go to the SQL commands and I can update the rows in the table right now. I can say update DOM breed lookup and set animal category equal to canine and run that. And 24 rows have been updated. I come back to my object browser, look at dominant breed data, and we see canine. So as I look at this data, I'm wondering if I need to worry about consistency in case. Remember data itself, such as that dominant breed beagle. If I were to try to type in, or if I were to type in beagle with a lowercase b, that's different than this one that we see here with the capital B. So if we make the decision that we want case to be uniform, we can push everything to lowercase or push everything to uppercase by using an update. So I'll come back to my SQL commands and I will update and change the case of the dominant breed and the animal category. So I'm going to change all the text to uppercase for the dominant breed. I'll do the same for animal category. Come back to Object Browser, look at that data, and now everything is in uppercase. Also, consider what we had when we looked at the LOV. If I go into my application, shared components, list the values, animal category, then I need to edit and change these so that it's canine, feline. I'll pause the video while I change the rest. Remember, this is what we'll see in the list, but the uppercase equivalent will be what is saved in the field in the table. There's one other thing to consider, which is the data already stored in the animals table. If we come up to SQL Workshop over to Object Browser and we look at animals and look at the data, then we can see that the dominant breed is based on a primary key value, a surrogate key. So there's no upper or lower case to deal with there. However, the category stores text. And right now, let's see, I believe we actually have some non-canine, but that doesn't matter. What we need to do is come in here to SQL commands and simply push the text for the category to uppercase. So I'm going to update the animals table and set category equal to uppercase category and run that. So canine goes to all caps canine, feline goes to all caps feline. Double check that in our object browser, and we see that here. So now what I want to do is come to my application, and I want to create a form with a report, and I'm going to go ahead and put a number here of 80. This will be list of breeds, and 81 breed data. And I'll click next, create a navigation item, and put that under data maintenance. So I see here, to be consistent, actually I should come back and make that breeds LOV. So the table will be the dominant breed lookup. I want animal category to come over to the right side for display. I want to manage this by primary key, and I want to save and just take a look at that. So we're not seeing the category along with the dominant breed. Maybe I went through the wizard too quickly and overlooked something. We're just seeing the dominant breed ID and dominant breed. So what I want to do now is go to the report and modify this code. And I want animal category. Doesn't actually have to be in caps, and I'm not sure why it's putting those in double quotes. You use double quotes to preserve case, but database objects are stored as uppercase characters, whether you type in the command in lower or uppercase. Let's see what we get here. So now when I save this and I run this, now I'm seeing the animal category along with the dominant breed, and then the surrogate key, the system generated ID that goes along with each dominant breed and its associated animal category. If I go to the form, I want to create a record. Then I want to have the animal category list of values here. I will edit this, go to animal category, change that to a select list, which is off the recording screen, but then scroll down. We've done this many times, and it's a shared component, and it is the animal category. So I can save that, run that, and now I see the option here. I'm going to edit this again. I'm going to unhide the dominant breed ID, make it display only, so we see how things work. I'm going to move animal category just by doing a drag and drop over here on the left-hand side so that it appears before dominant breed. For dominant breed, it's set up as a text area. I'm going to set that to just text field. So with dominant breed still selected, I'll come down here to start new row, no. Actually, animal category, start new row, no. And save that and run that. So new is for the primary key. I always forget that if I display that, I have to come up here and do the dom breed ID and save that. So I can select feline and do calico. And create that. I could create a new one and say feline and do calico and create that. But then I get a uniqueness constraint because we've said in combination we can't have feline and calico. Now you might want to go back to the LOV and make this uppercase because it's somewhat deceptive in that we are seeing capital F for feline, but in fact it's being stored all in caps. But we cannot duplicate this category with this particular breed. However, if I come in here and I do feline and I type in calico and create that, I can create that. Upper and lowercase are not the same. They're different characters in the database. So I'm going to come back here and do something we did before several videos back. Oh, wait a minute. Let's see. I'm in the report. I need to go up to 81, and then for dominant breed, I want to do a right click and create a computation. So I have SQL expression, and then I need to change the execution and do after submit. Let me scroll down so you see that option. After submit. And do a save and run that. So if I select feline and I type in lowercase calico, let's see, actually I should do mixed case. I need to do mixed case because we know we already have a lowercase, all lowercase letters calico. So let's do a create, and it says uniqueness constraint violated, so it won't allow me to save that. However, if I come in here and I select reptile and try to create, I'm still getting a uniqueness constraint. And that's because in an earlier video I set a uniqueness constraint on this single column, not just the combination. So I need to clean that up in terms of my design. I'll go to Page Designer, I'll go to Object Browser, I'll go to the lookup and the constraints. And I'm seeing a uniqueness constraint just on dominant breed. And this might be okay, but I'm thinking that somewhere down the line there's going to be a breed name that is assigned to a dog, and the same breed name might apply to a feline. There aren't that many names for breeds, so I'm going to actually drop this particular one because dom breed along with animal category is really the combination I want with the uniqueness constraint. So I'm going to drop this, and it will be, let's see, unique dom breed, and click next and finish. So I still have my two-column uniqueness constraint. I come back to my application, and I do know I have this previous form and report which I need to get rid of. But just to check this, I'm going to create, and if it's feline and I type in calico, I can't create it. This is good. If for some reason there was a bird known as a calico, then I could create that. So it would be a good idea to go to the records that we've added if you've been doing this along with me and get rid of some of the inconsistencies such as this calico in lowercase. And I don't know that we need a calico for bird. I want to pause the video, and I'm going to add 2 or 3 records for dominant breed for cats for the felines, because we'll use that in the next video when we use the cascading LOVs. Based on the category, we'll see only the applicable breeds for that category in the animal form. So I'm going to pause the video while I do that. So I've added these Persian, Russian blue, Siamese, Burman, and then I've added a few things for birds. I made a mistake and I made a cockatoo a canine. I'm going to get rid of that. I just thought I would show you these if you want to duplicate what I have. So I'm going to get rid of my cockatoo canine. I don't think there is such a thing. These programs cannot prevent human error. They can only help us avoid human error. In fact, real quickly here, I know this is going long, I'm going to come here to the application, go to shared components, go to my navigation menu, and I'll get rid of that original breed LOV, and I see it up here. That means when I come back to the application and run it, I'm going to see the current working breeds LOV.